And we're live and we're back. It's the Mindstate Marketing Hour. And I'm Steve Brown, your host. And you may or may not know, I'm the smartest guy in marketing. And why can I say that? It's because I hang out with Will Leach. Will Leach, he's the author of Marketing to Mind States, the practical guide to applying behavior design to research and marketing. And I've read this book. It's my favorite book. And if you don't have this book, what's with you? What's your problem? Go get the book and get a step up so you can start to be one of the smartest people in marketing as well. Will, 4th of July is coming up. What's going on?
It's going to be a great weekend, Steve. We are hosting 2 professional golfers at our house, which has been really fun because we have a golfing event, an LPGA golfing event not too far away from the house. So we decided to bring a couple of golfers in, give them some Texas barbecue, which I think is probably weighing them down today, to be honest with you, but that's okay. They are lovely, and it's been fascinating. It's been fun. It's been a fun couple of days, and they're going to hang out with us for a couple of more days. So wishing them the very best today.
So we're going to have to maybe give you a little coaching so you can speak the lingo with them, right? So maybe you say sticks instead of clubs. Maybe you say tee off instead of like kickoff. You know, let's work on your language so you can relate better with them. You probably need to understand their subconscious bias as hey, don't let your subconscious bias cost you millions. That's the topic of today's conversation. Tell us about it, Will.
Well, I hope that they're listening today, though they're probably making a lot more money than I am right now. Hopefully they're doing great. Yeah, I'll tell you, I was recently surprised at looking back at my website. And, every year I set up my yearly goals, not just my personal goals, but my professional goals for the business. And it's been fun because as I've looked back the last 3 years, I've seen very significant changes, whether that has been to the strategy, but more often than not, to some of the execution. And it got me thinking about evolution and not, species evolution, but how do we evolve as business owners? And when should we evolve as business owners? And when I was reflecting back and looking back 3 years worth of different, programs I've offered or the evolution of my own company, I thought to myself, did I go too fast or maybe not fast enough? And it reminded me that we actually have subconscious biases that are influencing our speed of evolution of our company and how much we change and how often we change. And so it kind of occurred to me that we should probably talk about this issue as entrepreneurs, because these little small decisions you make every single day can actually cost you millions of dollars if you're not aware of your influence or at least your implicit biases towards change.
It's an excellent topic. It crosses my mind so much. And every day I make all these decisions about my business. And I wonder, am I making a A? Am I making a B? Am I making a C? They say, I don't know what the stat is, but you would be surprised at how many business decisions you make every single day. Was that you that was telling me what that stat was?
I've used this stat many, many times. I can tell you that the average person across their entire day makes 35,000 decisions. So if you are sitting there right now, Steve, in your business, world, you have 8 hours, 10 hours a day you're putting into your business, a significant portion of those 35,000 are related to your business. They just have to be.
Wow. And so there's a lot at play here. And if consistently you're making decisions from the wrong bias, it could be poking holes in your boat.
That's right. I mean, I think we got to take the long-term perspective, meaning that, your business, just like you said, is made up of thousands of very small daily decisions. It is, should I open up that email or should I keep typing away at this ad? Should I pick up the call should I pick up this call? Or should I keep recording a podcast? There's so many decisions. Should I have an uncomfortable conversation with an employee now? Or should I just see if she can kind of make her way into the role? There's so many of these decisions, hundreds in fact. And so there's this concept, and you may have heard of it. There's a concept in chaos theory called the butterfly effect. I'm sure you've heard of the butterfly effect, right?
Yes.
Okay. So for those of you who has never heard of the butterfly effect, I'm going to overly simplify chaos theory for a minute. But the butterfly effect simply states that there are points in chaos theory. There's a point in your life where a small change can have ripple effects again and again, and then get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the reason why they call it the butterfly effect, or it's been kind of popularized, is that, there's this idea that if a butterfly flaps his wings or her wings somewhere in America, that little ripple effect from the air can turn into a tsunami in Africa. And I know, there's no way of measuring that, of course, or anything else, but chaos theory would suggest that this could happen. Your point, the thing I want you to concentrate on, is that your small action today, very small action, a little ripple from your wings, can cause significant success or failure on your business in the future. So I want us to be aware of one bias that we have oftentimes, and how this bias can influence those ripple effects, and then the things that you make today, the decisions you make today, how they can actually be impacted in the future.
Yeah, so you have a bias that you tend towards, at least as far as making decisions on your business. It may not be the same bias that you use when you're shopping.
No, that's right. No, it's a bias that we have towards risk.
Wow. So how do we first kind of determine what our bias is? Well,
Yep. So I want you to know, I want you to realize that you inherently, or intuitively, are biased towards taking on risk or avoiding risk. And this is something that you have learned probably over the course of your entire life. Now, this is just implicit on who you are and experiences. And what you have to do is figure out whether or not you are what we call optimistic, or that you look at the realm or the lens of your business through an optimistic point of view, or what we call promotion regulatory fit, meaning that you tend to gravitate towards options and decisions that you believe are going to help you maximize success. So when you're using this optimistic lens in your decision making, you will tend to take on greater risk. You will tend to have a couple of different tendencies. You may take on a brand new program or start a new initiative earlier than maybe you should have. You will tend to give up on things that aren't working for you to immediately change the course of your business or change the course of your ad campaign, maybe spend more, maybe pull back spend too early, because you are seeking to maximize your gains or you're maximizing your success. There's another tendency that other people have, and that is where they are thinking to themselves that they need to, go down the path of minimizing risk. And that, in my world, would be called the cautious approach. And the cautious approach can actually make you hold on to old thinking, because you think the way to make the most revenues is to fail or to avoid failure. It's to avoid risk. And both of those options, honestly, are fine, except that you need to be careful, because if you're overly optimistic or if you're overly cautious, that can lead you and your company into some pretty bad situations over the long run. So it's like I said, this point of view, whether you're optimistic or cautious, will impact the proposals that you write. It'll impact your language and whether or not you want to talk to hard customers. It'll impact so many of your decisions. And that's why we want you to be aware of it. I'm going to teach you in a second how to become aware of it, and then what the impact of those, whether you're too optimistic or too cautious, what that could impact on your business.
Will, I've been noticing, I have an overly optimistic approach, I think, in general. I hate conversations with like my CPA, with my office admin. I hate those conversations because they tend to be overly cautious, right? And so they're always going, Steve, we need to cut here. We need to cut here. And I'm going, you don't understand. You don't understand. And it's really frustrating.
Yeah. I used to talk about this with my corporate clients too. Their legal departments and then their CFOs are the same way. Their job is to hopefully keep you out of trouble, whether it's overspending or getting into legal issues. And marketing, and this is your marketing mind, your job is to grow a company. And so you're thinking, take chances, let's swing for the fences. And it's very, very true. And both of those actually there's nothing wrong with either one of those. The problem, Steve, would be, are you too often in the optimistic mindset? And are you too optimistic? Meaning, when you are you burning it all down and constantly changing? And I'm like you, I tend to be in my business optimistic, meaning if I don't get the results I'm looking for very quickly, and I mean, sometimes it's way too quickly, like maybe in 3 weeks, I want to burn it down. Okay, obviously it's all failing. Let's start from scratch. Or, you'll think about, hey, let's go rebuild or build something new in the name of progress. Because if we're not evolving, we're losing, right? Have you ever heard that thing? If we're not evolving, we're losing. Mm-hmm. Or another thing that we'll do is, I think, in terms of business revolution and even my brand identity and my DNA, when I set up, the Mindstate Group, that was in my identity that I gave to my logo or my creative team to create a logo around that. Like, it was there saying, I want to revolutionize marketing. And even that term revolutionize, it's in me as an entrepreneur. But imagine what that does when things aren't growing as fast as I want them to. What do? I burn it down. I decide, hey, I got to come up with a new website maybe, or I got to come up with a brand new program, whatever. And because of that can actually have some long-term consequences. It doesn't provide great focus. I don't have perseverance sometimes to get over hurdles that I could have been just on the kind of the precipice of something big. But when you're overly optimistic, you tend to just move on to the next thing. You look at those limits and you say, let's take away any limit possible. So those uncomfortable conversations with your CPA, those uncomfortable conversations with the office manager, you tend to avoid them because they bring you down. They don't bring you energy, but they are there to save you in many times. So you've got to figure out a way to have those types of conversations.
Yeah. So your solution, I'm interested in your solution. Well, there is this change model that I'm trying to remember whose name gets the credit for the change model, but we're here down in the bottom left. This is where we are. We envision the change implemented will take us to the top right of the quadrant. But more often than not, in the first few months of that change, you actually regress before you start to let it take effect and gain traction and pull out and start to go. So if you constantly change before it has time to take effect, you'll never get out of that bottom area.
I love it. I've never heard of that, but that makes a lot of sense. And to your point, because you're so optimistic and your natural approach is to evolve constantly grow, new technology, whatever, then you're right. That's going to significantly impact your business if this construct is correct. And like I think we even said, Steve, too, like on the opposite side. So what if you're overly cautious? There's a whole set of parameters there too, right? So if you're overly cautious, you may always lean to, let's keep the old. Let's maintain the old systems. So in that case, your natural tendency is to, hey, let's keep going down the same path. I know it has been working for a month or two, but let's just keep going down the path. We made a decision. It was strategic. It was well thought out. So let's maintain the course. Let's maintain the ship, because it's those people that persevere. Those are the winners in life. So what you're going to do if you're overly cautious is you're going to tend to not want to blow things up, and you're going to not innovate enough, because you're going to say, hey, this worked just a couple of months ago or even a couple of years ago. And you know what? Well, why would we take apart systems that used to work? Let's maintain them. You'll also start building new systems in the name of order. And you'll think to yourself, hey, listen, we've all got to get on the same page. So we're going to do a weekly meeting for 2 hours so all the department heads can all talk and then we can get aligned. Well, realize that's a decision of 2 hours of your week that may cause people to not innovate, or maybe some of those people should be on a sales call to grow your business. So you're going to tend to try to create systems around order. Another thing you may do is you're going to want to maintain the status quo. So if there's somebody who's just not performing in your business, it's not because you necessarily fear that you can't do the right thing and maybe let them move into another role or maybe let them go from the company. But your natural tendency is, you know what, they're gonna figure it out, and this was a good decision. We don't need to change the decision to hire her or hire him in the past. Let's maintain. So you're going to keep somebody who's not a good fit for your company or for that role, keep hurting your business. And you don't even realize it. You're just thinking this is the right thing to do it because it just feels natural. Or you're going to think about institutionalizing everything. So there's going to be a process for everything. There's going to be boxes and check marks. Everything you have to do is going to be incredibly process oriented, which can be good, but then again, it can be bad because this limits innovative thinking. So because of that, you can be overly cautious. So like I said, you may be now thinking to yourself, okay, well, I can see how people can swing too far optimistic or they can swing too far cautious. How do I know? Here's what I would tell you to do. And it's not intuitive. These are implicit. These are implicit subconscious biases that you may not even know that you're doing. So one, the easiest way to uncover an unconscious bias is to ask other people that know you. Very simple thing to do. Ask them, in your opinion, maybe it's a couple of people, do I tend to be more, innovative and I'm a risk taker, or do I tend to be more process oriented and cautious? That's one easy way to do it. A second way to do this, and this is how I did it, this is why I realized that I am overly optimistic, and maybe I need to start thinking through a couple of things around bringing more order. What I did was I looked at my journal, and I journal every day, and I certainly journal at the beginning of every year and every quarter about what do I want to accomplish in my business that quarter. And so what I did was I said, if I was journaling, what I would do is say, ask yourself this question and answer it. How do you intend to grow, and what will you look for along your journey? Answer that question. How do you intend to grow, and what will you look for along this journey? And just start writing and write and write. And when you're done, maybe there's 3 paragraphs there. Be specific about what you're going to look for along the journey, meaning I'm going to look for new partnerships, or I'm going to look for ways of eliminating costs. Whatever those things are, write them all down. Then all I want you to do is look at that through the lens of, are you being overly cautious in that comment, or are you being overly optimistic? And just check it off. So are you using any of these things that you listed out to maximize good things happening, or are you trying to eliminate bad things from happening? Make that list, check them off as either optimistic or cautious. And when you do that, now you have kind of your platform there ready for you to look at and analyze and say to yourself, you know what? 9 out of the 10 comments I made leaned cautious. I was talking about risk and eliminating things that could hurt me, or they're overly optimistic. 9 out of the 10 things I listed out there were very innovative, constantly growing, changing. When you see things like that, you got to start moving back to the center. You have to start becoming aware that's your natural tendency, and that's costing your business one way or another. Therefore, you need to start thinking about the solution, which is come to the middle.
All right. So I'm listening to you, Will, and I'm just thinking, sometimes I'm like, I write that stuff down. Am I being overly critical, or am I being too lax? And then I ask someone to look at it. And again, I'm concerned about their bias. And then if they know me too well, that's not fair. Sometimes I'm like, I got to go with my gut. But then again, in the back of my mind, is my gut too overly optimistic? How can we get to the middle when we're like wavering like that, Will?
Yep. So here's the easiest technique you can do. Once you understand, you may be in the middle right now. I'm just saying you should go through the process of seeing where you are. And it's just going to be what's comfortable for you. I can tell you if 9 out of 10 of your decisions are too optimistic, or 9 out of 10 of your decisions are too cautious, then you're in a bad spot. So come to the middle. Here's what I mean by that. If you are too optimistic, if you're like, overly, I'm constantly changing. I'm constantly on to the next idea. I never hold on to something long enough. I'm constantly, looking for the new partner, the new ad campaign, the new whatever. If that's you, what I want you to do is move towards being more cautious. And what you want to do is you need to start thinking about your business and finding and maintaining the good. So I want you to do an audit of your business. I want you to do an audit of your advertising. I want you to do an audit of every part of your business. Don't do it all in one day, but just start looking at it through the lens of, what do I want to make sure right now that I find and maintain things that are good already. Then what you can do is, if you are too cautious, then what I want you to do is find those things that are that make you go, you know what? Maybe it's like I'm always thinking about processes. I'm always thinking about how to keep everybody in line and set up all these regulations. And I always have to overthink things. I have to give myself days, and I have to do a survey to make sure that I'm making the right choice. What I want you to do in that case is go into those systems and destroy the bad, meaning destroy a couple of those things. If you feel like you have to have 2 weekly meetings with your entire staff, take away one of them. Just destroy the bad, something that's keeping you to being too overly cautious, too managerial focused. You're not giving people freedom. Go through your business and cut those things out. So again, if you're overly optimistic, I want you to maintain good. I want you to check off things saying, I'm not changing this. I want to maintain the good. I'm not going to change this. Even though I feel uneasy, I want to evolve. Don't evolve those things that are currently working for you. If you're overly cautious, those things that you think may be hurting you, just kill them. Kill them slowly, kill them softly, but kill a few of them. Those will naturally bring your business back into center.
Wow. I'm just thinking that would be so therapeutic sometimes, to like at least cut one of those things. And maybe it's not going to train wreck. You kind of like everybody goes, oh, thank you. Thank you for releasing us from that second meeting every week. Yeah, I'm just, you need someone to bounce it off. Well, tell us about your Mindstate marketing program. Do you have a part of that program that offers a way to kind of think this through with you?
I do, actually. So as you go along the program of the Mindstate Marketing Professional Program, there's a module that is all about doing an audit on your business. And when you do an audit on your business, you're going to look at your business, whether it's your positioning, your marketing, your products and services, your campaigns, even so much as your strategy. And you're going to learn how to do an audit. And that audit, part of that audit is looking at those individual modules through an optimistic lens versus a cautious lens. And you're going to evaluate each of these things through those two lenses. And so in that program, we walk you through how to do exactly what we were just talking about, so that you have a little bit more perspective. And if you don't feel comfortable, because like you said, you may be kind of too implicit. You may have been, this may be your business you've had for many, many years. You may not be the right person to do it. So what you can do is teach somebody from your team how to do that exact same audit so they can kind of look at it through a brand new lens. And just by doing that, hopefully get you to significant business growth.
Wow, it's kind of cool because, more and more I've noticed that people just really want to get some really clear advice from someone they trust. And it's easy to trust you, especially if you've been listening to these conversations. I become the smartest guy in marketing just because I get to hang out with you every week. But these folks could take advantage of your deep knowledge as an author, as a behavioral science researcher. So good on you there.
Sure. I've been there. I've been with you guys, right? We're all going through it together. So why not learn from each other,
Okay, so now we come to the time where we're going to get you to answer some questions. People are submitting questions. They want to know about this. So here you go. You ready for the first one, Will?
I'm ready for the first one.
All right. How do you use behavioral science to improve email conversion?
Yes. So my book actually gives you a framework to do just this. So what you want to do is when you think about your emails, I want you to structure your email in these 4 ways. The very first thing I want you to do is think about your headline or the subject line in your email. And I want you to write around what are the aspirational goals? What are the aspirations of your customers? Next, I want you to then think about what are the functional goals? And we've talked about this a lot. Functional goals are the features and products that you have that you're offering within that email that will help support their ability to reach the aspirational goals that you've placed into the headline of your email. So always use the headline of your email around aspirational goals. If you don't know what to say, speak to people's aspirational goals. After that, when you're thinking about your visual or whatever the picture you're going to use in your email, I want you to focus on what is the core motivation driving somebody to reach their aspirations. So pick your visual based upon, do they want success? Do they want to feel like they belong? Do they want to feel like they're respected? There's 9 of them in my book, but think about your visuals through the lens of only understanding their motivation and incorporating a visual that supports that motivation. Third thing you want to do is look at your copy through the lens of optimistic, or cautious. And your language, when you talk about the features of your product, the features of your offer, your brand, whatever it is you're talking about, think about your copy through that lens of, am I telling the reader that I'm going to help them achieve good things, or am I telling the reader that I'm going to help them avoid bad things? And lastly, at the very end of your email, I want you to incorporate what's called a trigger, or it's a cognitive heuristic. And what this does is it gets somebody who would normally just look at your email, get really excited about it, and then file it, or maybe just delete and go, man, I've got to really follow up one day, to actually click a button. These are cognitive heuristics, things like scarcity effect, where you say things like limited time only or social proof. Tens of thousands of people trust my company to do X, Y, and Z. When you place those 4 things all together through the lens or through an email, you are much more likely to get long-term conversion.
Yeah, and after today's conversation, you know that they're making thousands of business decisions every single day. So how can you help them to increase their average win rate on those decisions with the product or service that you offer to improve their business or their lives?
That's right.
Excellent. All right, here's the next one here. Why is market research important to entrepreneurs?
Market research is important to entrepreneurs because you must understand your customers and become incredibly empathetic with them. Empathy is the #1 competitive advantage in today's world. It's not technology. It's not spend. It's not some sort of a new kind of marketing guru and a series of funnels. It's none of that stuff. It is all about purely understanding and being empathetic with your customer. Because I once heard this sentence, and it kind of struck me, is that the person or the business who can express the problems of their customer better than their customer will win the day. They will seize the day. That's why empathy is so important, because when you truly understand your customer at a deep psychological level and you can speak to their problems more articulately and in a way that just feels more intuitive than your own customer, they will trust you. They will pay for you to support it or to support you. Why? Because they're going to this person knows me. They understand where I've been, and they've obviously been able to get out of it. So the reason why you do marketing research is because you need to establish deep empathy.
Awesome. So true. How many times have you been to a restaurant, you've been somewhere, and you were looking around, you kind of needed something, but someone walked up and handed you what you need. Remember how you felt? Wow, they really understand me. That's so cool. They were feeling what I was feeling. And how did they know that? From their experience, from their research, from their observations.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. All right. So here's the next one. What is the one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to start their own consulting business?
Yeah, this is a good one. I have 2 things that come to mind on this question. So if you want to start your own consulting business, and I get this question asked from my students quite a bit, the thing I tell them first and foremost, the most important thing you can do is find your thing. And here's what I mean by finding your thing. There are so many consultants out there. We all basically have access to the same tools, the same information, because the internet has made everybody kind of equal. Information is ubiquitous. So what we don't have access to and what nobody can ever replicate is finding the one thing. Your one thing is probably a combination of not just one of your passions, but 2 of your passions. If you can take any 2 of your passions and bring those together in one point of view into one business, that is the most important thing I think you can do as a business owner. It's not your skills. It's not your experience. Everybody has those things. It's not even your pricing. What it's going to be is when you can take 2 ideas, 2 passions, bring them together, find your one thing, and then you'll be able to truly differentiate yourself. After that, the next thing I tell you is develop deep empathy with your customer. It is the most critical thing you can do, because all of your decisions, all of your copy, every strategic initiative you have should be focused on meeting the needs of your customers. So you must develop deep empathy. And one of the things I would tell you to do as an entrepreneur is going to hit you fast is the minute you start up your company, people want to scale you. People will tell you, every book tells you, you got to scale and use my technology to scale. Be careful about that, guys, because every time you take a piece of technology to make you faster, quicker, to make you more efficient, oftentimes it takes you out of the ecosystem or the tribe of your customer, of building that empathy. So just be very aware that as you scale, don't leave your tribe, meaning keep involved. If you're running a Facebook group, you should be the moderator. Don't hand that off to somebody else. If you have a chat bot on your website, you should be the moderator, not somebody else, because every time somebody wants to scale you, it removes you from that ecosystem. And the less you're with your customer, the less empathy you have, and the more likely you are to make a really bad decision.
Yeah, that's so true. The default expectations, everybody wants to scale but oftentimes you can outrun your coverage, so to speak,
Yep.
and the wheels start to come off. So settle in, learn your customer, learn how to connect with them. When you start off in a business, what you expected would be your solution, later on, it evolves. It changes. It's not the same thing. But that evolution comes from your insights of, oh, there's a deeper value I can offer since I understand better what my customer needs.
I think we get caught up in the trap of mailbox money. You remember the term mailbox money? It's still around there. Oh, if I just create this system and I create this, whatever this is, I'm going to start getting checks. And that's just, I've tried it. Lots of people tried it. And most people tell you that's not true. Why? It's because when you create a system that's totally automated, every day you're removing yourself from your customer, and you may get a few hits and you may even get a year or two of growth, but you're losing contact. I mean, we've talked about it. Your customers are evolving. That's why you got to do a brand refresh. Same idea. As your customers evolve, you have to evolve with them, and you'll never know that unless you are in the trenches with your customers. So do the hard work, get in there, get your hands dirty. These are people you love. These are people you want to support anyways. So do the right thing, and you're going to be just fine.
You see, guys, why I'm the smartest guy in marketing, because I get to hang out with Will Leach during the Mindstate Marketing Hour all the time. He's the author of Marketing the Mind States. If you don't have this book, then what I want you to do is go to the closest door and slam the door on your finger. Or get on Amazon and order it. One of those two, okay? Because this is what you need just to communicate better with your clients, your employees, your spouse. I'm telling you, this will improve your spouse. If you can understand how she approaches decisions or he approaches decisions, why not be set up for success? Will, thanks for all that research and effort and actually sitting down and going, I'm going to write a book.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I love these meetings as well. We're always evolving. I love our conversations. So if you like these conversations out there too, give us feedback. Send us some questions. We're getting questions all the time. The Facebook group, Mindstate Marketing Society, is out there. Go to mindstategroup.com to learn more about these programs that we have and lots of different resources, because we want you to be a part of this whole community as well.
Yeah, and go on there, set up a time to maybe connect with Will and talk a little bit about how you can start improving your decision-making in your business. And Will, so we got a great weekend coming up. You're going to hang out with the golfers.
That's right. You got some golfers. That's exciting.
Yeah, you're going to have to not be awkward, kind of learn the lingo.
Oh, well. Clubs or sticks? What are they?
What kind of sticks do you have? Okay.
That's right. I got some pretty good sticks. Yeah. I don't know, but it's fun. It's great. They're teaching me all sorts of things. I'm learning every day while they're here, but it's fun. It's fun to support LPGA.
All right. Well, happy July 4th, everybody. Enjoy your weekend and stay tuned for next week for another great episode of the Mindstate Marketing Hour with Will Leach. He's the author of Marketing the Mind States. And to learn more, go to mindstategroup.com and reach out and connect with Will. You'll just enjoy talking with Will. He's a great guy, period.
Thank you. Everybody have a great, safe July 4th and see you next week.
All right. And that's a wrap.